Hi Radhika,
Hi, Sonia.
what's up?
Nothing, all set.
Video. How
I,
is it set without the video?
I'll just put it on.
I
Why
have
not?
to see you. I mean, the picture is nice, but there you are. Long time,
Yes.
but you don't change, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, so maybe we just may wait for a minute more. Yeah, and let people come in. Be really lovely to have some more of you open up your cameras. Nice to see human beings if possible. Otherwise, we'll assume that you are in an uncomfortable position. Awesome. We are at 8:01. Let's go. Hi, Radhika.
Hi, Sonia.
Formally welcome to Malhar Film Festival.
Thank you so much.
I know you're always a part of everything that I do, so I don't have to categorically welcome you every time. But this is particularly special because it's not just me, but a bunch of creators. You know, everybody very passionate about what they do, but equally lost about what are our rights and how do we grow from there. And so I couldn't think of bringing on anybody better than you. And just I was telling them the in the previous session that to me you are more of a therapist than a lawyer who because what I am very scared of going to lawyers because then one is scared of what new is going to come in and what are they going to tell now that is going to be further scary. But that can never be the case with you. You're going to only ease it up and simplify it and say, let's look at it from your point of view. And I mean, I'm sure everybody relates to it, but I'm just superimposing that it's not the regular. So, which is why you are the therapist. So, thank you for coming. Just a heads up for you, Malhar has about 300 shortlisted firms. So, and there were about 1,000 submissions, which means that everything that we do as a conversation here is going to go to at least the 1,000 creators,
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
Though of course they are in different parts of the world, so of course from your point of view the legalities change from territory to territory, that's sure. So I'm sure we're going to touch upon that a little bit of the general stuff, but that's the space. So guys, you all have to help me in this session particularly, where you have to, like, after Radhika has covered the basic framework, please do bring in your specific queries. Do bring in where you are stuck specifically, if anywhere else. That would make conversation easy for other people who listen to it, because it's pretty much the similar questions that all of us have, similar situation. All right, so the Malay community, here's Radhika Singh. She is a managing partner, founder of Alethea Legal, based in Bangalore, India. She works obviously on the commercial law as well, but largely on the IP, data privacy, with the creators. And it is a very fragile world, especially in India, where the laws are very, very new. They are developing very as we talk. And anyways, sticking to a legal format in India is a different ball game, because we are so many people. It's just that we are such a huge country, so much of a population, so many diversities happen that bringing anything into a framework is a challenge. But we are creators. We are not stopping creating because of whether we have a law in favor or not. And so today's conversation, let's look at it that as creators, who has rights? Because it's also true that while we might be in art, culture, media, and entertainment, but beyond a fixed fee, every professional doesn't have extended rights. You get into a creation process, you get paid for what you were signed up for, and probably the agreement ends there. That's also one part, but there are some which is not so, and it goes longer. So, Radhika, The first question out to you is, which are these capacities, which are these professionals where there is a larger IP
Okay.
or rights?
So thanks, Sonia. So I'll just quickly share that if you're talking about a film, since it's a film festival, in a film, there are various intellectual property rights. Okay, so you have copyrights, you have trademarks, and you also have, so mainly these two. So if you look at a film as a whole, you will have copyright in something known as literary, musical, artistic work, and sound recording. Okay, so let me break that down. You have a film script, right? You have your screenplay, you have your lyrics. That gets protected by copyright as a literary work.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your music compositions and tunes, which get covered as musical work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your set designs, you have your costumes, any artistic elements, those get covered by artistic works.
Mm.
And your sound recording is a separate IP in the film, which constitutes is a part of the film. Now, why am I sharing this is because it'll just to set the context. Okay. Then trademarks, generally people, they come and ask that, oh, I've got a very nice title for my film. Can I copyright it? Right? Because
Nice what? Very nice.
title for my film, the
Okay.
title. And
Okay.
can I copyright it? That is something they'll often ask. And a title cannot be copyrighted. It can be registered as a trademark, and then people can also trademark the main characters in a film. Or if you've created some characters, even those can be trademarks. For example, you have the Avengers set of movies, right?
Yeah.
You have Hulk, and you have your Iron Man. Now Hulk and Iron Man name can be registered, and even the figurines can be registered, because that's known as character merchandising. So this is just to give you a broad overview of the various IP.
Got
Now,
it.
but copyright is the linchpin, it's the foundation on which a film is created. So we will deep dive into that aspect. And like you said, who are the most important right holders? So in a film, see, the producer has to produce the film, and then they take it to distributors and all that happens. But for the producer to even have the film as a whole, what is most important? The first thing is getting a script. So the most important person is the scriptwriter, and the like all obviously play a very important role. But to begin with, from script to screen, the first person is the scriptwriter.
Woohoo! Scriptwriters, you're in for something. Awesome.
Okay. So, as per Indian law, the author of the work is the first owner, which means that the person who writes the script is the author and is the owner of the script.
Even
Okay.
if it was a commission project?
That is the exception. So, generally, it is that the person who writes is the author and the owner, except in two situations. One, where that person has been employed to write, then they become an employee and the rights are owned by the employer. And second is where it is a work for hire, like you said, on contracts. Then the person who paid for it, at whose instance that work was created, becomes the owner.
Got
Okay.
it.
So
Yeah.
the first person is the script writer, and their rights are, they can, out of the story that they've written, they can create a film, they can make any adaptation or translation of the work. Basically, from the script, they can, think, okay, we can also make a play, we can also make some other adaptation based on it, we can translate the film into various languages. That is all the rights of the script writers or the authors,
Okay.
and to communicate the work to public.
Hmm.
Now, similar is also the rights of the lyricists.
Okay.
Because again, lyricists are creating the lyrics for the music,
Right.
for the song.
Yeah.
So the lyricists also have the same right, that the lyrics can be converted into a part of a sound recording. They can adapt it, they can translate it, they can use it as a jingle, they can use it in so many different ways, tunes and all of that. They can make use of that, and then they can translate it and communicate it to the public. So you have your script writers, authors, lyricists
Hmm.
who have these rights.
Hmm.
Then you have your music composers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now music composers create the tune, and then they can also include it as part of a sound recording. They have rights in the tune. The sound recording is a combination of the lyrics and the tune together.
Right.
Okay.
So two people are involved in that one aspect as a
Yes,
final output.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, and when you think of a film, all these people are there.
Hmm.
You have your script writer, you have your lyricist, you have your music composer, and that is where these are the main, as in they play the main role, and then you have the actors and artists.
Hmm.
Now, the other important person is the producer itself.
Yeah.
So, in the case of a cinematograph film, it is the producer who is the author of the end, the whole film as a
Right.
whole.
Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then the producer has the right to make a copy of the film. They can use it, they can use photographs of it, like for a trailer.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
They can sell and distribute the film and communicate it to the public. So, over the finished film, it is the producer who has the right. But the film as a whole has underlying works where each person who's the author of that work, that is the lyricist, the scriptwriter, they have their own rights. And this is very unique to India. You'll get a better you'll get a better idea as to why I said that as we go forward.
I I hope we are going to hear favorable thing there when we say it's unique. Like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
okay, great, exciting.
Okay.
Okay,
So
can I ask something in between?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Vimla.
Radhika. The script writer is the author,
yeah.
but if the producer has paid the author and taken bought the 100% rights, so
Hmm.
then who becomes the owner, the final owner?
Perfect question. And okay, so see, so generally that is how the industry works. Now there are two very important concepts. I don't want to. I will go into my teaching mode, but I'll just give you the main difference. You have the author and you have the owner, right? So the moment the producer gets his agreement signed by the script writer, that all the rights in the script are being assigned to the producer, or they make them sign, they give them an employment agreement and employ them. The ownership of the the script goes to the producer. However, the script writer continues to be the author of the work.
Hmm.
And in India, Sonia, that's where I was saying that in India, with the 2012 amendment,
Yeah.
which was actually Javed Akhtar did a lot of work around that, which was basically to safeguard the rights of scriptwriters and the lyricists.
Hmm.
Which, as a result of which, what has happened is that while the producers they own the film, but when they showcase the film
Mm-hmm.
anywhere outside of a cinema hall,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like an OTT platform on television, 50% of the royalty has to be paid to the author.
Wow.
Okay.
Hmm.
So this is what I was saying is the surprise element or the thing that I have to share. I'll be talking about that in detail as well. While the law is still developing as to how that 50% will be reached,
Yeah.
but that is the law. And
Can I just ask something in between, Radhika? Really sorry.
no, no,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So if this was not for a film, but for an OTT platform, then how does it work?
See, even for an OTT platform, the definition of a cinematograph film includes any audiovisual. So it will
Okay.
even include if you have to do a series on an OTT platform, if you're doing something for like a Netflix or Amazon or Prime or something like that, or you're even doing a TV serial, because eventually that's how a cinematograph film doesn't mean only something which is released on in a movie theater. It also goes beyond that now.
It could have any other interpretation, Vimla, as long as it can be qualified as a script, and it's not an essay, so to say. If
So
it's a
can I
script.
just go a little deeper and ask you? So supposing I had employed, okay, so not employed, I had bought a script of someone,
Mm-hmm.
okay, specifically for producing it for, say, Amazon.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you're saying, So for Amazon, I don't have to pay him anything beyond what I had paid him. But beyond that, the author still has a right to his royalty. Is that what you're saying, Radhika?
No. So that's why that's why I said it's still developing. If we look at it the way law is right now, it says if it's going to be showcased anywhere outside of a cinema hall. So if it's even an OTT platform, you will need to pay them royalty. But that's why I said it's still developing, because when the 2012 amendment came in, the OTT platforms were not that famous. So that time the movies were basically showcased in a cinema hall. Right. So the producers will try and argue that if you're talking about a cinematograph film in a cinema hall, it should also get extended to OTT platform, because now it's also being showcased on OTT platforms. The authors will argue, no, it's only restricted to cinematograph films in a theater and not an OTT platform. So it is a gray area. And
Radhika,
yeah.
probably it is the reverse. I think what you mean to say is that the script writers will say that it should cover OTT plus cinema, and the
No.
producers will say stick to only cinema so that they can pocket the OTT part.
So they will say, that, okay, so I meant it the other way, but
Ah,
yes,
yeah.
what it meant is the moment it is being showcased in a movie hall,
Huh.
the producers don't have to pay anything as of now, right? They don't have to pay royalty if it's only being showcased in a movie hall. Okay,
If it is in the movie hall, then what you pay
don't
to the
have to
script
pay.
writer is as a fee. That's it.
That's it.
They don't. The script writer doesn't get any royalty.
Yes.
Okay. But if it is what is in the development is that if it gets published anywhere else like an OTT or a web platform, then it is being contested.
Then as per the law as is right now, if you go as per the act, then the producers will have to pay royalty to the script writers. So that is how we are interpret. So it depends on whose side are you on.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
what the law will be. Yeah. So that's a developing thing. So now that we've come on this, Sonia, I just want, because the most important aspect, like what was brought in here,
Hmm.
is when people are acquiring the script,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll just jump into that, because
Sure.
the most important agreement for a
Hmm.
producer
Hmm.
is an option agreement. If they're looking at, getting an option or a right purchase agreement.
Okay.
Now, option agreements are generally where somebody has read a script, they like it,
Hmm.
but they want to give it a thought and see whether it can be developed. A lot of companies do this. They will look at a script, they will tell the author, okay, I'm interested in your script, give me 1 year period to see if the OTT platforms are interested in making something out of it or not,
Mm-hmm.
and I need 1 year,
To
okay,
do what? To do what?
to make a decision on whether I want to buy the rights of your book to make a film into it, out of it. Okay.
Which means the person cannot do anything with the content for a year.
1 year, yes. So what they do is, for example, there is an author. Okay, the author has written a book, and I am the person who's saying, okay, I really like your book, I really like the story, I think I would want to produce a film out of it, but let me speak to an OTT platform and see, are they interested in financing, or are they interested in creating it for their OTT platform. So I want the right, I want the option to make a film out of it. And I want 1 year to be able to exercise that option. And for that, I will pay the author or the script writer something known as an option fee,
Right.
because you're blocking it for them, right? For a year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So you pay them something known as an option fee.
Okay.
So if you get 1 year,
Hmm.
then within that 1 year, you have to tell the author whether you're interested in, exercising those rights or not.
Okay.
If you're interested in exercising those rights, then you sign something known as a rights purchase agreement.
Okay.
Okay. And then the most important aspect comes in a rights purchase agreement, which people should keep in mind. This is for both script writers as well as producers to keep in mind. Now, what are the points to remember while you're negotiating a rights purchase agreement? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
or an option agreement, depending, because sometimes people are very clear that they want to make a film. They don't need 1 year to kind of figure out whether they want to or not. So they directly enter into something known as a rights purchase agreement. So in that, what you have to see is what rights is the author giving to you? Okay. Is it only for making a film to be released in the movie halls, or even on now TV or OTT platforms?
Right.
Okay. A lot of authors, what they say is, okay, I'll give you, so they give the right to make the film to be released in a cinema hall. If the producer wants to release it on an OTT platform as well with a tie-up, they will charge additional for that because they're giving another medium
Right.
to the producer, right? Then what is the territory? Are you being given the right to make the film and release it only in India or worldwide? Now, when you're giving it on an OTT platform, producers will want worldwide rights.
Okay.
Although the authors can divide it. They can say, I will give you the rights to make the film only for the Indian subcontinent. Someone else only for Europe. Okay. But generally, what happens is the authors also understand people will not want to take it for different jurisdictions because there could be copyright infringement issues which may come up.
Right.
So what they say is they price it accordingly. If you want it for the Indian subcontinent, this is it. If you want worldwide, then the price goes higher.
Right.
Okay? And that is all coming down to negotiations. And if it's a big production house or an OTT platform, the authors may just give the worldwide rights, depending on they may be getting a good amount for it.
Yeah.
Okay, then you look at language. Are you giving the rights only to make the film or the film in Hindi language, English, European, some other language across the world? So for each language, they will either say we'll charge a certain amount, or they'll say right now we're giving you Hindi, English. Later on, if you want to make it in different languages, we will negotiate the royalty at that time. But we'll reserve the rights for you.
Nice.
Okay. Then one which has been quite interesting and which I often get into are the rights to make a prequel, sequel, or spin-off. Now, OTT platforms and producers will want a prequel, sequel, or spin-off. The perfect case is like, for example, the Marvel, you have the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Everything, they'll always come out. Each character individually will have a prequel, sequel, and there'll be a spin-off story that will come in.
Yeah.
Now, suppose the producers don't have that right. Each time they want to make a prequel, sequel, or spin-off of a character, they'll have to go back to the author.
Nice.
Okay. And what the authors have started doing is so that's how we keep educating and both sides. Yeah. But what we share is that it's up to you. These are the rights that the authors have. Okay. As per the Copyright Act, they have the right to make a prequel, a sequel, a spin-off, write a prequel book, write a sequel book, and make a film based on that. These are all their rights. So the producers have to be very particular when they are buying rights, that what are they buying? And the OTT platform, if you're looking at offering them, will not want that you just have the right to make the film in Hindi, but tomorrow if you have to make a prequel, sequel, you have to go back.
They will not like it.
They will not like it because they will want a full deal.
Right.
So producers have to keep this in mind, and the authors know that these are their rights. So they have to see how do they arrive at a place where it works for both. Right? Then there is something which is very important is rights granted over characters. Why I'm breaking it down, Sonia, is because sometimes when I'm looking at these contracts, they are put in so much of legalese. One para will talk about everything. Okay. And people are not able to break it down and understand what are these rights that they're giving. And things like granting rights over characters. A lot of people will give rights over characters. A lot of authors I have come across, they have given rights over characters, and tomorrow when they want to make a prequel, sequel, they can't because they've given the rights to the characters to someone else.
And when you say characters, Radhika, do you mean the characters in terms of animation, or do you also mean characters in terms of cinematic film?
Both. Because suppose I have created, give me any, so suppose there's a Hulk, okay?
Yeah.
Hulk or Iron Man, okay?
Sure.
So Hulk is a character. Now, if someone wants to write a prequel on Hulk, they will use that name. Now, if they've assigned the rights to the character, they're also assigning the trademarks. That's why I touched upon trademarks role in films as well.
Okay.
Because character names can be saved as trademarks, character sketches can be saved as copyright.
Now, how much of it is implied and how much has to be done?
Meaning in the agreement?
Yeah, like if I have I've created Hulk, but if I have not trademarked it, is it still considered trademarked? Or unless I do it, unless there is a TM on it, it is not considered.
See, it is. I won't say it's not considered, but you safeguard your rights if yours, you are basic. Otherwise, you have common law rights in it, and common law rights you have to give a lot of evidence. You have to prove a lot of things through documents to show that you have common law rights, and people have started associating it with you. But if you have a registration, you just have to show the registration.
So it's better to obviously identify that you are creating a unique character and go for its trademark right away.
And copyright if you wish to. Copyright is but copyright is not mandatory registration. The moment you create the character, you have a right in it. But this is to just avoid any confusion in future if someone says that, oh, you just created it, but I paid you for it. So those kind of things, if an author has filed a copyright, this is something which the producer needs to find out when they're acquiring rights in the due diligence. Has the author applied for a trademark for the title? Has the author applied any trademarks for the characters? Anything for the copyright? Because if the producer doesn't know, tomorrow the author has rights in it, unless they specifically assign those rights in the contract. So these are very important rights that are granted over characters. So if authors are looking at writing prequels or sequels, please reserve the rights to characters to use them as part of your books within the contract. And that is where they can divide it, that for the films, they are signing it, but for writing a book, they're keeping it with themselves. So some people also do that.
Right.
And sometimes the authors, for example, Harry Potter, okay, it's become so famous that now the character merchandising has become so famous.
Yeah.
So if, person who's creating a character like that, the author may want to not assign that, because for them that can be an alternate income.
That of course means depends on how much of a say in the matter you have. But
exactly.
But what is being pointed here is that these are the various divisions and these are the various rights of an author in as per the legal system.
And Sonia, when they're negotiating, while yes, you may not want to keep these rights and saying who's going to do all of that, but at least these are the points to keep in mind when you're looking at the consideration that is being paid.
Correct.
And even for the producers, this is like a checklist to keep in mind. That listen, I need to pay attention to characters. I need to see, are they giving me prequel, sequel rights? What rights is it? Is it only for a certain language? Is it for the entire territory? What am I actually doing? So that's why I just thought some of these aspects can be mentioned, and this is because this is your main agreement.
Perfect. So it is about across the mediums. We choose what mediums, you choose location, choose language, and choose if the prequel, spin-off, sequel is included or not included.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. And characters.
5. Okay.
Then what is important from a producer's perspective is that when they are signing off a script, especially when they're buying it, they're paying a lot of it, your representations and warranties clause in the agreement has to be very clear, where the author and script writer says they are the owners of all IP in the script that they have written. They have not taken it from anyone else. They've not copied it. They're not infringing any third-party IP. So the representation will be, I am the author. This is my original creation, and it has not been copied from anywhere. The indemnification clause will say that I will indemnify you if any third party brings any action against you for IP infringement. Right. So these two have to be clearly mentioned. And then also there are other reps and warranties that it'll not hurt sentiments, it'll not hurt religious sentiments, it'll not go against the basic things that it's
Yeah.
not going to defame anyone. So those basic requirements are also there.
But Radhika, when if he's saying that okay, I have the ownership of it, it's an original work. Does just saying that is enough there, or there has to be supported evidence to be provided?
Best would be if the script writers have kind of registered their script, or if they filed a copyright for it.
Hmm.
Then you know that they've done the spade work, and you can that will show that they have the rights to it. Generally that is recommended, and if they've done so, then when they're assigning the rights in the agreement, then they also assign the IP by filing proper requests at the copyright office for assignment and all of that. So it's generally recommended that at least this, if they've registered the script with the script writers association, or
Yeah.
they've got got a copyright application for it. So a lot of authors and script writers have started doing that.
Nice. I think that leads to what Akash's question is.
So that
Registering the script also registers the character inside, or we require to register the character separately?
So if your character is like the soul of the story, and you feel that that character can be created into a prequel sequel, please get it registered separately. This registering the script does not safeguard it, because the script is just registering the story as a whole.
Hmm. Yeah, so you don't need to overdo it, but if you think
Yes.
it has a potential to go into a prequel sequel, then do it.
Yes, because otherwise I wouldn't recommend, spending so much just like that. But
Ah.
if you feel that the character has something in it that it'll become very famous, or it has that potential, then why not try and file it and protect it and see.
Okay, initially I don't know because I'm not very sure about my script. I'm writing it, right? Now, when I go and show it to various other people and I start getting the feelers about it making a lot of buzz, right? I can still, till what point I can do it, beyond what I can't. It's,
So the best thing with copyright, Sonia, is it is not like a patent or a design that it has to be filed before you disclose it. It can be it can be filed anytime. Okay,
yeah.
so the only thing is, obviously, if you've signed an agreement with someone where you've assigned, then you can't file it. That's the only thing. Then you
Hmm.
can't, because you'll be in breach of the agreement.
Hmm.
But suppose you've written a script, you're getting a lot of feelers from the market that that character is very strong, and you should safeguard that character. Then go file it.
So you can do it up until you've really sold it out very
Yeah, yeah,
clearly,
yes.
right? Okay,
And yeah,
where can, sorry,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
go ahead.
please, that's it. Hmm.
Okay, so Akash is asking where can we register the characters?
So, Akash, there's a copyright office in India. So, in copyright applications can be filed, but I would recommend going through. See, you can reach out to the copyright office, but it's better to go through lawyers. Reason being, they will be able to advise you and also tell you whether you should go for that character or not. They'll be like a sounding board for you. They'll let
How
you.
will they tell?
How is it?
How will they tell that whether you should,
They tell, in the sense they'll be able to see what is it that you're trying to register.
hmm,
Okay.
hmm,
And like sometimes what people do is they'll just file the name. No, the
yeah,
name is a trademark. That's not the copyright. Or they'll just do a sketch. Now,
hmm,
how good is that sketch? Will it come under an artistic work? Should we do it like that? Should you do it for the model,
hmm.
like a 3D version? That way, that which will have a bigger impact.
Bigger impact, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
so sorry, I asked that question because the point that I was trying to clarify here is that the lawyer may, or anybody for that matter, will not know whether this character is going to become big or not. That's
That
a
they
long
can't tell you.
journey,
Yeah. Yeah.
but what it means is that what part out of that are we considering to register is
Yeah.
what we are talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And which will give you the better results and safeguard your interests in a better way. Yes.
Right.
Sonia, can I ask something here? Yeah.
One second. Vimla, can you just hold on? Akash is in the flow
Yeah.
of his questions. Can I take that up and then get
Right.
to you? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Akash, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Radhika, just a follow-up question. So, like as a character, we write character Bible, we make sketches, and we create the name. So, what is it which is more necessary to get registered? Like the design sketch, or the drawing, or the Bible of the character, a character Bible properly, or just the name? Which is most required?
So Akash, that's a very good question. So I would say, okay, I'll give you a very good, I'll give you an example, which I will just tell you. So you may have heard of this film Sholay. Okay. So what Sippy's, what their family had done was they filed a trademark application for the name Sholay. They filed a trademark application for Gabbar Singh. Okay. And they filed a trademark application for Gabbar. Okay. Then Ram Gopal Verma was going to make this movie called Ram Gopal Verma Ki Sholay. Ke Sholay. Huh? And then they went after him saying, how can you use the name Sholay? Because they had safeguarded Sholay as a trademark for films. Okay. As a title of a film. Then he was also using Gabbar. And they also made him change the name of the character because they had safeguarded the name of the character as a trademark. They said that is our character, you can't use it. So then he had to, one, change the title to Ram Gopal Verma Ki Aag, and second, he had to remove all characters that he was using from Sholay. So to answer your question, Akash, first thing is you can safeguard the name of the character as a trademark. Okay. People generally use it because if it becomes famous, they can make toys out of it. Like you have your Avengers, you have so many toys, you have various Hulk, Iron Man, all of that. Then you can also use it as merchandise on on clothes and everything, right? They do that. Then a second important aspect will be your design or the sketch of the character. I will not say Bible, because Bible may someone can change a little bit also, right? So I won't say copyright the Bible. I will say, if you want, copyright the artistic sketch of the character. So tomorrow, if someone tries to create a similar sketch, you can go after them. As in, you can sue them or you can ask them to take license from you.
Okay, that's clear enough. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Awesome. Vimla, do you still have your question?
Yeah, I just wanted a little more clarity on when does one go for copyright and when does one go for trademark? What is the difference between the two?
Okay, brilliant question, Vimla. So a trademark is, as the name says, it's a mark which helps you in trading. Okay, for example, so in the copyright, if you're looking at it from a film perspective, Vimla?
Yes, Radhika.
So the title of a film. So when you're looking at creating a film and you've thought of a title, right? That time you can file an application to register the title under a class known as 41, because titles are seen as basically service marks, because they're basically for services, that is production of film, that comes under class 41. Okay. So basically what that means is tomorrow nobody else can use that title as part of their trademark for any other film. That is why they were able to stop the use of Sholay in Ram Gopal Verma Ki Sholay. Okay, that is when you go for trademark, is for the title.
Okay.
Now, and trademark can also be for the name of a character, because what are you going to do is you're using the name of that character to maybe sell t-shirts.
Sure. Make toys.
Products, make toys. So that is, so people also file trademark applications for a figurine.
Yeah.
Like the way Hulk looks or Iron Man looks, they can file a trademark application for that, because tomorrow if they want to make those toys, they can sell it.
Sure.
Okay. Copyright comes in for, like I said, your literary work, which is your script, your lyrics. Then it can come for artistic work, will be the drawing that you make. That can be protected as copyright. And the advantage of both is tomorrow, if someone wants to license or assign it to someone, they can do that. So it helps in commercializing that particular asset.
Thank you so much, Radhika.
You're welcome. It is a little deep, the topic, so it's just that I can't cover too much, but yes, this is what I could give an idea of.
Yeah, I think I got a fair idea. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. Can I just request everybody who's not speaking to please just check your mute buttons? Some of them are showing unmute to me and it's creating some noise. Thank you. Okay. Radhika, question from Kritika is, what about songwriting? As singer-songwriter, will I have to safeguard my lyrics and the music created? Just to elaborate more, so if I have an original composition, then will I have to safeguard the lyrics as well as the melody?
Oh, brilliant. Yes. So if we look at sound recording, okay, like I said, I broke down cinematograph film. When you look at sound recording is the end song, right? But within sound recording, you have the lyrics, you have the tune, and then you have the combination of the two, which becomes the sound recording. Okay. So the lyrics get safeguarded as literary work, and the composition, the tune that you've got composed gets safeguarded as musical work. And one more thing which I'll just add here, just the way I said that if there is an underlying work, for example, when an author has written a script and then that movie is released in a cinema hall, he doesn't get anything, but if it's used in any other way, then they get 50%. Similarly, if a musical work is used as part of a sound recording, then the authors of the underlying work, which is your lyricists and the music composers, they also get royalty.
What about the singers? No. Okay.
So it is also for literary or musical work included in the sound recording, but not forming part of the cinematograph film. So if it's separate, if it's like a music album, it's forming part of the sound recording. And then for that sound recording, whenever they are kind of selling it, it'll again, and here there's no restriction that it has to be released, because obviously it can't be released in a movie hall, but it is that any time that music is being used, then the lyricist and the music composer is entitled to 50% of the royalty.
Okay.
So if they give it, if the sound recording goes on, if somebody is using it, maybe as a ringtone, maybe as a jingle, then while it's not very commonly practiced, but they are entitled to it.
Got it. Yeah. What about stand-up comedians? They are content writing their own self.
Yes.
You know? So they are performing artists. So what all are their rights?
See, performers' rights in India, they're still developing. But when you talk about when they're writing their own content, if they're creating their own original content, they're writing it on their own, they can also safeguard it. They can also file a copyright application for it. And if they feel that somebody else is using, like if it's their own jokes they've created or their own structure they've created, the whole format is their own and they've written it down, then they can also safeguard that. And if someone else is using it, then depending on how much is being used, what is being used, they can also initiate action. Or they can also license that content to another person. If they want to use their jokes, they can also license it.
Can a style be copyrighted? Like no. A performing artist or a stand-up comic could have a delivery style that becomes unique to their identity.
So they don't come under copyright, but for example, Amitabh Bachchan's voice.
Yeah.
Okay. So that becomes something known as a personality right.
Okay.
So if somebody is using Amitabh Bachchan's voice, we've had so many cases, right? Where people have used his voice for various ads. And so if it's not a parody, like it's not being used as a parody, then it is not then it amounts to copyright infringement. So there the likeness of the person comes into being, their personality rights. And to be a personality rights, it's mainly, like you said, someone's become famous and somebody they are known for that particular style of talking. Like Trevor Noah has a way, like you said, a stand-up comedian. He has a way of, the way he delivers, the way he talks, the way he walks, his voice.
Yeah.
So if someone is trying to copy him, he could go after them, but that's more under personality rights.
But there is
Personality. Yeah.
Cool.
But you can't register personality rights.
You can challenge it if you find that there is a somebody's copying it.
Yeah, if it is a little difficult to prove unless you've become very famous, because the courts will say, how are people confused?
Yeah, so it just needs to be something that you can say only I do it like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mugesh is asking, can we copyright a documentary film? If yes, how?
Cinematography. It comes within that definition.
So same as what we all talked about right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the
So
documentary.
people also copyright the entire film as a cinematograph film. They can copyright it as a work. So there are works like literary, dramatic, musical, artistic works, sound recording, and cinematograph films. So people also file copyright applications for cinematograph films. The entire film, they protect it as a copyright. So the same way sound recording can also be, and even your documentary films can be protected as cinematograph films under the Copyright Act.
So if we protect the entire film, the entire documentary as one piece, then if let's say the music out of it is infringed, somebody doesn't touch the film in any way but takes the music out and uses it somewhere, is it still something that can be claimed? Because I didn't specifically reserve or preserve the music.
It can be. You don't have to mandatorily register copyright.
Everything.
The moment you create the work,
How?
your copyright vests in it. It's just that the reason people register copyright is it's a title to prove that you're the owner. It just helps and makes it easier to prove you're the owner. So it helps you prove ownership, and then in cases of infringement, you just have to show that certificate because it shows you are the owner.
Sure, no.
But
What I meant was that if, like what Mukesh is saying, that can we copyright a documentary film? So suppose the film is copyrighted, the whole film, right? It's on something very unique, never been done. The first person to reach the copyright office to do that, so you get it. You get that copyright, right? Now the film is not being touched or violated in any manner, but only the music from the film is violated. Can he still claim that I have the film copyrighted? Will the court come back and say, yeah, you have the film copyrighted, but you don't have this music copyrighted?
No. They will not come back, but they will. What he'll just have to prove is, if he's the producer, that he entered into proper agreements to ensure that the musical work was also owned by him. So whoever's the owner of the musical work can initiate an action for infringement.
Perfect. So ownership, finally, it just goes back to who owns it, right?
And the lyricist, if suppose generally that's why all people generally assign their rights to a producer, because if they don't, then the producer will have to go back to the lyricist and say, see, sue this person because he's copied your lyrics. He'll have to go back to a music composer saying, listen, he's infringed. But because the producer has all the rights, they have the final call to initiate action against someone, because then they become the owner. So that's where all these agreements with script writers, with lyricists, with music composers, they are the basic rights that make the film. So those agreements become very crucial.
And which is, I guess, why people give in most of their rights to the producer, because who's going to fight? Who's at their individual level? Who's going to manage the courts?
So the only thing is, while they may give it to the producers, which may work for them because they may not want to get into copyright societies and they just want to make it helps them. They don't feel at the end of the day, oh, we gave so much and get any.
Yeah. Right. Fair enough. So Aradhya is asking, script and screenplay both gets registered separately, but if both the writers are different, then it should get registered separately under two different names.
It can, but the producer may It'll have to be like, you can file it in both, but then both should eventually assign it to the producers.
So if I am the script being the genesis, if I'm the script writer, I have the authorship, ownership of that. I engage somebody else to do the screenplay. Technically, does the screenplay writer have any rights to themselves?
No, no. Sorry, no, they don't. They don't. Because if I've written the script and they're writing a screenplay basis that, then I'm the owner and they're adapting it for me.
Yeah, because screenplay will only come later.
Later, yes.
Right, and screenplay writer themselves don't have a vested rights amongst them, so they wouldn't.
Yeah, no, they won't.
Yeah.
So then it will be mainly the person who's written the script. They'll go register it, and then they engage people or they write it on their own. A lot of people who I've engaged with, they write their own script and then they write their own.
Usually it is like that only.
Yeah.
But I mean, just to, because in respect of that question, even if you engage an external screenplay writer, it's the fees. I mean, it's a paid service that they charge you, and that's about it.
And what is important there is, even though they're being engaged, it's good to just say that you're being to engage them as an employee, and say that so basically saying that I have written the script and you're just adapting it, and all IP vests with me. So it's very clear, there is no confusion that who's the owner and the author.
Right. Mukesh, your question about any tips related to documentary films is a little open-ended. What, I mean, of course, you said that can I copyright? She said yes. So, if you have a specific question, then what do you mean? What part of documentary films you're curious about? Please write that. Otherwise, if you're going to talk about generally like what's available for documentary film makers and something, then I will see if it gets covered naturally. But also the next session is with Adam, who is the president founder of DocLab, totally and only talks about documentary films. So you might want to also hear him talk about what's happening in the documentary world and position your question accordingly. All right. So Anirudh is asking, there are many such associations in Ranchi, Jharkhand, who register scripts, but I wanted to know what is the difference between being registered by these local associations and the scriptwriter association or similar to it, or what are the benefits of being registered by SWA? In the first place, if there are many of these local organizations springing up, what is it that one needs to look for
See,
in them?
SWA, what I've seen, Sonia, although I've not interacted much with them, but what I've seen with people who've registered their scripts with SWA is that SWA also helps them with the formats that they should have. They also help them with the pricing to a certain extent, that how should you price it? What should you ask for? There are some standard charges they've mentioned. They've also, they also help them a lot with how should they register, what all should they take care of. So they give a lot of support. That's what I've seen. And generally, when you register with the Scriptwriters Association, that's when even the producers are more comfortable, because they're very particular. They have stringent criterias for even uploading your script, all of that. So
That also is because it's a really old organization and it's been there, done that. But having said that, do you have any tips to check the new upcoming organizations which are claiming to be the registration authorities? Is there okay, let's say, look, is there a rule if I want to become a registration authority today? For me to be a legalized body, what do I need to put in place?
for scriptwriters, for
I want to open up a new company which is going to register scripts of people.
I
For
think
me
there
to be
are
a legal body.
guidelines. I will have to get back on that because I know Scriptwriters Association have a very, very stringent guideline. Um, I can get back on that.
Sure,
I'll have to
sure.
get on
Okay.
that.
So once Radhika get back to us, we will share it. But basically, that is what you need to check with your local organizations, that have they followed that protocol. If they have, they might as well be qualified to do something. All right. Uh, Tarun is asking, I'm a filmmaker. While registering the film, do I need to register each and every entity separately, like music, songs, or one film registration covers all?
No, each, because like I said, a cinematograph film has various underlying works under it. So you can register the whole film as a cinematograph film, the literary work separately, the musical work separately. Um, that is when you will safeguard all rights completely. So it's not that if you just safeguard register the cinematograph film, it will protect everything. No. That is if you want to. If you,
Huh. If
yeah.
you want to, and if you have a, what Radhika you said earlier was that even if one has copyrighted the script, the film in any way, and okay, even if you've not copyrighted the other aspects separately, okay, you are broadly covered only till a point when, if it's a conflict, if you're able to prove at that point that it was your original work,
Yeah.
you know.
What Sonia, a lot of people say is the poor man's IP. Okay,
Hmm.
what they generally do is they say that if you don't want to register, okay, but that is like the, but that's okay. Is that you type your script out, you print it out,
Hmm.
and you courier it to yourself, or
Okay.
you send it to yourself through registered post. Okay, so the date and stamp comes on it,
Huh.
and you never open it. So if you have to ever prove you
Hmm.
have the date which says that you had couriered it to yourself, and that shows the date on which the script was created.
What a hack.
Yeah, so a
Okay.
lot of that's known as the poor man's copyright.
I know we all need that. Okay. But then, in terms of a soft copy, like if you're typing it on any of the word editors and stuff, then the date imprinted on that document, does it also serve as a evidence?
It can, it's just that when it's see, because then with software, you can also email it. Like now,
Hmm.
you can email it to yourself. You can email it to someone else,
Hmm.
and then you can write. You can put a 65B affidavit if you have to go to court to show that this is how you created it. This was the date. This was the machine.
Hmm.
So that also works. So this used to be like very olden times.
Hmm.
That's why it's known as like old man's copyright. This was very long back, but because people would send it through government post, so
Post.
it's given more like,
Weightage. Yeah,
yeah,
it has
because
more
it's from
credibility.
the government. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like if you're writing it on MS Word or any of the text editors, then that text editor would obviously have an inbuilt mechanism to get the
Right.
date and time.
Yeah.
Though of course even that can be fudged. I mean, things
That's the
can.
only thing. Yeah. So with the government, like when you're sending it, it's a postal the government postal service. Then you have the government stamp. So that's where it kind of holds more weightage. So people
Might
can do
might
that
we
as
just
well.
do that? It's such a simple thing to just do that and have
And
the
not
owner
open it. Just
not
that you
open.
have to ensure not open it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, Aradhya, you're double checking it. So screenplay is no unique entity, right, Radhika?
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, because it's a it happens after the script. So screenplay itself is not a unique entity. The script is. The lyrics are. Okay, so when the screenplay is adapted from a novel, it doesn't hold any copyright.
So now this is, see why, because somebody has written a book,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
and you are writing a screenplay based on that book.
Yeah.
So you're adapting the work.
Hmm.
It's an adaptation, and who has the right of adaptation is the owner, and the author is the author.
Hmm.
So it is the person who's written the book who holds the IP.
So as somebody who is adapting it, you don't have an ownership. You can only charge a fee for that.
Yeah.
It's a
For
work.
the
It's
service, it's a service.
yeah,
But you can't claim IP in it because the IP in that is owned by the author
by
of
the
the book.
author. And it's a said unsaid rule, Radhika. Like even it's not something that you have to like put it down in a document. It's understood that as long as the ownership of the author can be proved, it's understood that they have the
I would, even though it's understood, no, I will always say put a clause
ha. Sure.
because it's better to be 100% clear.
Yeah.
For example, we even tell clients that in your employment agreement, say any IP created during course of employment is owned by the company.
Hmm.
Although it's a clear copyright, it's written in the act,
Yeah.
but people may not be aware. So
Hmm.
it's best to just put it out there and there's clarity.
Got it. Suramyo says, so I have an idea for a story and hire a writer to translate my idea on paper. So now in this case, who really owns the script? Do I then need to have an agreement with the hired writer that I'm the main owner?
Yes, because I'll tell you why. I may have an idea. Okay. There is no copyright in an idea. Idea cannot be copyright. That's known as the idea expression dichotomy in copyright world. So while there may be thousands of ideas. So a lot of people go and say, oh, I had an idea and I went and shared with them and now they've made a movie on it. Makes no difference.
Yeah.
What copyright law protects is how that idea was written down, who expressed it. So while you may give an idea to someone, but they write it. So they are the authors of that work. Okay, that is where the agreement is very important to say. And that's why people, take them as work for hire, or people will take them as employees. A lot of people have this practice of taking the authors and all as employees.
Right.
The producers will engage them as employees, pay them a salary, a certain amount, and then say because you made it during course of employment, we are the owners. But they don't realize while they may be the owners, but the other people continue to be authors and they're entitled to royalty. As per the amendment, which is still they're still trying to figure out how the royalty will be calculated.
So if you, Suramo, for your question, if you have given out the idea, but the person has translated into a script, technically it's that person who's the owner. Unless you guys have done a clear understanding, because an idea by itself is not a set.
Yeah.
Okay. Similar question to Suramo. If I've written a song and composed it, but got it produced from music producer, then will I still have my right on it as a singer?
So when you, Kritika, when you write a song, you are the lyricist, which is a much stronger right. And if you've composed it, you are the composer, which is again a very strong right. Now, as per the act, the person who produces the sound recording is the owner of the sound recording. Okay. However, if you have somebody else has produced it for you, but you paid them to produce it, you become the producer because you paid them.
You paid them.
Yeah. So it's always, that's what I always recommend to musicians and artists, that even though it may take some money, you may need to take it from someone else. Please produce your own albums or your songs. Produce it on your own, pay for it. Get it produced by a third party, but pay for it. Because then you become the owner of the copyright.
I know, Kritika, this helped a lot. So, I'll have a percentage in what you do because Raddhika consulted. Raddhika, you have to come up with laws like that, okay? All right. Anirudh, you want to unmute yourself and ask a question? Yes, let's do it. Come on. Guys, we need to wrap up. We're over time, but let's take the last question in. Hi.
जी हाय। मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि जैसा आपने बताया कि हम पोस्ट करके उसे कहीं ना कहीं रजिस्टर कर देते हैं, तो मान के चलो कि मेरी शॉर्ट फिल्म रिलीज हुई पड़ी है यूट्यूब पे। इन फ्यूचर किसी को वो कहानी अच्छी लगती है, वो बाद में जाकर के उस कहानी पे कोई शॉर्ट फिल्म फिर से रीमेक करता है उसे, तो क्या हम उसको लेकर के क्लेम कर सकते हैं कि हमारी फिल्म पहले बनी हुई है तो ये मेरी है? एंड हाउ टू?
हाँ, कर सकते हो, because it's got
one second Radhika, for the sake of people who don't understand Hindi, can you just translate his question in your way in English?
Okay, so what, and he can correct me, okay, if I've so that's what I've understood, Anirudh, is you're saying that if suppose you have made a short film and you've uploaded it on YouTube, okay, and after some time somebody else makes a short film which is very similar to your short film. Similar or copied?
Copied, I can say copied.
Copied, yes. Okay. So then you're saying, can you initiate action against him because your film was created way before?
Yes, exactly.
Right. So the answer to that is, Anirudh, the moment you upload it on YouTube, okay, yeah, it shows the date of upload and all of that. It will say, is it your original work? You should just ensure that you don't allow anyone to embed your work in their video. Okay. There is something on YouTube where you can you allow people to embed your work in their work. because then you're basically allowing people to use your film, either the whole of it or a part of it. There is still, see, they can't use the whole of it, but you're allowing them to kind of use it in certain aspects. Okay, so be particular on that. But if you've not done that, then if someone makes a film which is similar to yours, you can initiate action against them for infringement, because the rule is very clear. Where people see two films, if they feel that the second one is a copy of the first one, that is infringement.
Thank you.
And the way to prove that, because the other person can say that I created it first. So then the way to prove it is your date of upload on YouTube.
Date of upload, then that will show that you created it first. Then how much did he or she, or the person copy? That will come in. Were the characters copied? Were the scenes copied? Was the entire story copied? So those aspects will be looked at to see whether it was copied or not, or whether it was inspired. So there is a difference between that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Anu Malik story of everything being inspired.
Inspired.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I wanted to touch upon, that copy is often confused as inspiration also. The other creator could say, I saw it, I got inspired, but this is not a copy, right? So there it gets proven by tracking each bit of it, Radhika, that okay, if it's a copy, then it would look like this. And it's a very manual process.
So the process would be not each bit, but like, for example, if you have seen, let's take, they've taken the rights for it. For example, you've seen Forrest Gump, okay? And Lal Singh Chadda is a remake of that. We already know it's going to be a remake, so they've taken license for it. But suppose you would see the two, and you would say, oh, this one looks like this one. Oh, it's based on this book or on this film. And there is a confusion, and there's a clear thing that this story has been picked up from this. That's a clear case of infringement. So although the treatment of the story will be different, that's based in the US, this is based in India. The characters would be different. The story would maybe change a little bit. So the thing is to watch the film and then see, are the characters similar? Is the storyline similar? Majority of the storyline similar? Is the heart of the film the story similar? So those elements are looked at when they're comparing movies.
So, like, for the sake of people from outside, Radhika had earlier quoted a very famous Hindi film called Sholay. The other example that she said by which it got measured was that one is that they had trademarked the name of the film. So you can say Forrest Gump for that matter, just in English. But what they'd also done was they had trademarked the character's name. So fast forward a couple of years, some other director tried to use these two, three characters' names and the title name in a completely different film, but probably we don't know the real intent, but the implied intent is that the person was trying to leverage the magnanimity of that character's name and the title, right? So which is where the court came in and said, because that character name and the title is protected, you can't use it, and the person had to change it.
So, Sonia, I just want to pitch in one thing here, if it's okay.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to share, there was a case where 20th Century Fox had moved Bombay High Court against another entity for copying of the script and screenplay of their film Phone Booth. Okay, by making and adapting the same in the film known as Knockout. Okay, which was based on a similar storyline. And then the Bombay High Court had held, they'd granted an injunction after viewing both films, stating that any average viewer of both films would come to the unmistakable conclusion that the defendant's film is a copy of the plaintiff's film. The principle on which this decision is based is test of concluding whether the second work is a pirated copy depends on the impression of the average viewer. Will an average person look at the movie and see that the second one is a copy of the first one? That's the test.
And is decided by few
Bombay
people
High Court.
inside the court?
Yeah, the judges. And 15 million they were asked to deposit 15 million till the time the dispute was settled. Yeah. The case ended.
So you're saying the court said that if an average viewer was to watch both the films, they would feel that the second film is a copy of the first film.
Yeah.
So the court takes the route of a average viewer. That's
Yes.
the point here.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Radhika. We'll take one last question.
I have no problem.
Thank you. So Ramo is saying, in case of independent filmmaking, we often do not go through these steps of copywriting our scripts and all. But if the final product is taken to some OTT platform, do I then need to go through these steps? Yeah. I mean, if you want to protect yourself.
Yeah, unless, see, one is if you're selling it to the OTT platform, and the OTT platform may say, okay, see, the thing is, like I said, copyright registration is just to show that you have the ownership, you're the owner of it. Copyright, unlike any other IP, the moment you create the work, you have copyright in it. So it's not that if you write a story, only if you register the story as a literary work, are you the author of the work. No, the moment you write the story created, you're the author and the owner.
As long as you can prove it.
As long as you can prove it. And see, it is recommended to register because it is a proof of ownership, but it's not mandatory. So it's up to you whether you want to register all of this before you go to an OTT platform, or you take it to the OTT platform and the OTT platform just assigns it from you and then they file it if they wish to. So it depends on where you are.
Yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable to take it to the OTT platform, see whether it's getting momentum or not. If it's not, you don't want to invest on it, your choice. But then there's also a risk that, it can be just picked up. How it is always that I showed my script there and it got picked up.
So Sonia, the solution to that is always sign an NDA. Always. When you're showing your
But Radhika, what is with the NDAs? This I also have to say. So like when the filmmakers sign an NDA
yeah.
with the production house, and then if they see some copy of it,
Mm-hmm.
then they can actually go back with this NDA to say it was my original, and they seem
Yeah,
to
there have
copy.
been cases. There have been cases where so there was a case where one of the persons had gone and shared their idea with a famous production house, and then they realized that they'd signed an NDA, okay, and then they realized after a few years that the same story was released and the same series was released by that production house, and they went and sued them in court.
Okay, another point. The NDA is always done by the organization. It is never a person in the organization. So if I'm taking it to Amazon, the NDA is with Amazon or with the person who's signing it.
With Amazon,
right?
And in Amazon you will say Amazon so and so represented by. So that person's name, and then you'll say authorized signatory, and then we always say YD board resolution. All of that is very clearly mentioned so that there are no issues in future. They shouldn't turn around and say, oh, this person who signed was not authorized. So that those aspects are.
So that's need to be checked, guys. Okay, that detailing needs to be there, right? It's not just that if Amazon gives you, there also needs to be the right person who's signing it, and hence the name and the mention. Remember that. But Radhika, Amazon did not cheat me. It was okay. But let's say the script slipped out of somewhere, and finally after some time I see it being a part of some other production house, some other thing. I have no idea how it traveled, how it changed hands. So the person, the company responsible would be Amazon, and then it's up to them to figure out how it's
You will, because see, if you've written that if you've signed that agreement, and see, Amazon will say, how do we know you've only disclosed it to us? So there will be like a back and forth. Okay,
you want to get that?
It's okay. So just give me a second. Okay, so what they will do is, you will say, I only signed the NDA with you, I disclosed the script only with you. How it went anywhere else, I don't know. So when you're signing an NDA, you also say the company, its employees, its representatives. So you have to be very particular. Who all are you including in the NDA?
Yeah.
So those clauses are very important, because if you just say the company will say, humne nahi kiya.
Yeah.
What about the employees, the directors, the officers, the representatives you work with, any third party who's associated with the company? So you bind all of them with the NDA.
And what if you've done this NDA with several organizations?
Then then you are also, then there is an issue, because then how do you know who have you
Who has
who has disclosed? Unless you can kind of show that one of them has disclosed, then it becomes difficult.
but that also is a very realistic situation, Radhika, because when the person is pitching, they're pitching left, right, center, you know, to many people, right? You may get an NDA done from everybody, but at, you know, I mean, typically, if you end up making that film, if you get paid for it, you become okay about it, that okay,
Yeah.
this is gone, right? But we are talking about the deeper things, that if tomorrow you find an infringement, then you will not be able to prove that who
Who
really.
did it? Yeah.
And in that case, unless you are bigger than them, there's nothing that will come out of it.
So it's and generally production houses, when they're talking, when they're interacting with you, see, they also want to safeguard their rights. So I've seen that production houses also send a agreement which clearly says that you're only pitching it with us and no one else. So they will also safeguard their rights, because they don't want the same person is going to 10 different production houses, then the uniqueness of that story gets impacted.
Which is where your first point
The
comes in,
option agreement comes.
the option agreement. The first point that Radhika said, for the sake of everybody who joined in late, she said that if somebody is taking your script for an X period of time, and then it almost becomes like you're not going to move around with that script anywhere else, then you have a way by which you can be paid for that time.
Yeah,
You know,
the option agreement, yes.
the option agreement, because you're sitting on it. Okay, absolutely. The last thing, Sarah, I don't understand your question. How about transportation? Unmute yourself and go for it.
Hi,
Hello, hello.
and I want to just ask about the translation about one of the story in other country. You translate in your country. Is it has a copyright or no? Is your after translation? Is it your story or no? I just ask because in Iran we have a different. We have not any copyright law. We haven't any law in copyright in Iran. And some people who translate, and after that, they show to their product and do anything without copyright. I'm just asking, is it has a copyright or no?
Okay, that's a very good question. So there is, if you translate, so I had shared this earlier, when an author writes a script, okay, when you've written a script, you've written it in, or you've written a book or a script, you've written it in English, suppose, then you also have the right to translate it in any language, and you have the copyright. So you are the owner of the copyright. The person who's authored it is the owner of the copyright. And tomorrow, if the filmmaker wants to make a film, the producer wants to make a film based on it in maybe some other language, maybe French, then they have to take that right from you to translate the script into French. You have the right as the author.
Work, Sarah?
Thank you. Yes, I understand. I am working in the professional uh, mm, uh, office in Tehran, but sometimes I am challenged with them. Is it? It's not your story. It's the other story. It has its author and it has the other one writing, and you could just translate. Why you tell this is my story? No, it's created about one of the other, like I don't know, Shakespeare, I don't know the other one, but just you translate and you say, like for example, Sarah, is it this writing this story? For unbelievable. But in Iran, they don't.
That's the problem of absence of clear laws, Sarah. Like Iran is
Yeah.
particularly struggling with that, but everywhere, and all these things are so subjective. And somewhere or the other, the creators are also to be blamed, because we have also allowed it to happen. It's okay, it's okay. Take my
Mhm.
work, take my work, take my. There you are. Now keep taking your work, and there you are. Everybody. But I think we are
Mhm.
now in a good position that we are all talking about it. There are some laws. So now another thing is, I understand Iran is a very different space and totally relate to the challenges.
Yes.
But the other way to look at it is that, okay, now that you are aware, you know, you can
Mhm.
you can quote it as a use case, as a study, that, hey, listen, see, this is what's happening in India.
Yeah.
You can create
Aha.
you create a body of creators in Iran and say, come on, like there's a reference of information.
And
Hey,
UK as well. UK as well, because
Thank you.
copyright law in India is based on the UK law.
on the UK, so that this information is good, because then a couple of you can group together and try and work that there can be a law. Here also, some people, common people, have only worked it. Courts haven't done anything. You know. Sorry, Radhika. I know that's your favorite place to go to every morning, but it doesn't it doesn't help us much. Okay. No good. So now you guys know why she's a therapist and not a lawyer. You all relate with me or not? Tell me. Does she sound like a lawyer or does she sound like a therapist?
I like the new name. Huh?
Say, today is a day where we're giving names to our speakers. It's we've gone to another level altogether. All
I'm
right.
so glad.
Radhika, thank you very, very much. This was
It's been a
super
pleasure.
useful. Very, very useful. Thanks for putting it out all together. Guys, Radhika is around. She's available on LinkedIn by her name. If you, she's very active there. So, no problem if you want to reach her out. If ever you have a emergency, you want to reach out to her, not able to, let me know. you know but really, like, as a lawyer, one needs to have a lawyer in your friend circle to go to, and you need to have somebody you can trust, because that's a position we don't often trust. So yeah, so you got a name there. Like I said, I blindly support that. So that's the lawyer that you should go for, as long as you're in India. Do you work for territories outside of India, Radhika?
I've advised authors in Australia and UK because common law.
Hmm.
Most of them have similar laws.
Okay.
France is completely different. They protect the rights of authors more. And US is complete opposite. It's more in the producers' side, and India and UK are in the middle. So they try.
Congratulations, Bernard. France is in the favor of authors. You are in a good space, Bernard. Not bad. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Radhika.
Thank
Let,
you.
let you go, but we'll get back to you later.
Bye bye. Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm very sorry, but will not be able to take a very long break. We have 7 minutes, and who's coming in is Adam. Adam is the founder director of Doc Lab Poland, Doc Development Board. So, anything to do with non-fiction, documentary development, whether it's about, so he's particularly going to talk about pitching. That is one of the questions that everybody asked us to bring in, is how to pitch. So he's the person who looks after thousands of pitches every year. So he is going to take us through how to pitch, and once you've pitched, where to pitch, how to understand a documentary structure, what are the global standards in the non-fiction cinema. We have been talking about fiction a lot, but Adam brings in a completely non-fiction space, because as creators, we go between fiction, non-fiction, all sorts of things. So it's great to be informed on that. So yeah, 6 minutes now. We close this session. Have a glass of water, and see you guys back on the next link with Adam.
Bye.
Bye bye. See you around. Take care.
Okay.